continuing on here into chapter 2. Today we're going to talk about section 2.6, solving proportions. So, vocabulary. Proportion is an equation stating that two ratios are equivalent. In other words, we're simply saying that two ratios are equal to each other. Okay, so this will look something like this. It might say like 2 is to 3 as x is to 5, something along those lines. It can be a little more elaborate. They could even do something like this. X plus 3 is to 4 as x is to 8, So something like that. That's what a proportion looks like. Two ratios, two fractions that are equivalent to each other. In a proportional relationship, if A over B equals C over D, then AD is equal to BC. These are called cross products. Now, the way that we find cross products is we simply take the A over B equals C over D, and what we simply do is we go A times D, and we go B times C. And we take those two and we set them equal to each other. Okay, so that's what we mean when we say cross products. We take the top left times the bottom right, bottom left times the top right. Now, how are we going to do this then? How do we solve an equation that has two ratios equal to each other? How do we solve a proportion? So the way we do this is we simply cross multiply and set those equal to each other. Then we have created a new equation, and we just go through and we solve that equation the way we have been doing all these other times. And then at that point, we just simply check our answers to make sure they're right. So let's try one. So here we go. So it says here, reading the directions, it says solve the proportion. If necessary, round to the nearest hundredth. Hundredth, remember, is 2 decimal places. So here we go. We're going to start off and we're going to cross multiply. So I'm going to go 55 times x, which gives me 55x. Then I'm going to take 45 times 25, and that's going to give us 1,125. Now we solve this equation by dividing by 55 to both sides, and we end up with 20.454. But remember, we want to round to the nearest hundredths. The nearest hundredths is this number. So what we do is we look at this number and we say, okay, will that make that round up or will it stay the same? And in this case, that's going to make that stay the same. So therefore, my answer would be 20.45. Okay, let's try number 2. Now on number 2, you'll notice there's more than just an x up here. Okay, so let's start off. We'll go 3 times 8. That's 24. But now when I multiply this way, I have 2 multiplied to the grouping of n minus 4. At that point, now we distribute that, and we go 24 equals 2n minus 8. Now we solve it, so we add 8 to both sides. And then we simply divide by 2. And we're left with n equals 16. Now, since that came out exactly a whole number, if we plug that in, the question would be, does 16, this is how you would check it, you would go 16 minus 4 over 8, does that equal 3 over 2? So if we look, 16 minus 4 is 12. And does 12 over 8 equal 3 over 2? Well, if you simplify 12 over 8, we would divide them both by 4. And if you notice, that gives me 3 over 2 equals 3 over 2. So yes, we know we found the right number. Okay, let's try another one. Now on these, you'll notice you have more than one variable. Still going to do the same exact thing that we have been. So we're going to go 24 times x. And then we're going to take 9 times that quantity. Now at this point, we're going to distribute. 9 times 2x would get me 18x. 9 times negative 3 is negative 27. At this now, we're going to minus the 18x from both. That's going to give us 6x equals negative 27. Now we're going to divide by 6. And now we take our calculator, negative 27 divided by 6, and that's going to get us negative 4.5. Okay? And again, if we wanted to check it, we could. We just plug the negative 4.5 in for the x's, and we see if they equal each other. Let's try another one of these. So I'm going to start off. I'm going to go x times 18. I'm going to go 12 times the quantity. So we got groupings here again. 2x minus 5. I'm now going to distribute. So I have 18x equals 24x minus 60. At this now, I'm going to minus 24x from both sides. And then I simply divide that by the negative 6. And I'm left with x equals 10. And that's how we solve a proportion. So we don't have to, if we have two fractions equal to each other, just cross multiply. Set that equation up and solve it like normal. Now we could throw this into a story problem as well. In geography, parts of Mexico City are sinking at a rate of 140 centimeters every 5 years. If this rate remains constant, how many centimeters will the city sink in the next 12 years? So what we want to do is we want to find what ratio are we looking for? Well, what are we comparing? So if you look here, it says that Mexico City, some parts of it are sinking at a rate of 140 centimeters for every 5 years. So what ratio? We're talking about centimeters to years. So what we want to do is build our proportion out of that ratio. So we're going to start with the one that we're given. We're given 140 centimeters is to 5 years. And now we want to know how many centimeters, we don't know that, is to 12 years. So now we take and we're going to cross multiply. So we're going to start off with 140 times 12. And that's going to get us 1,680 is equal to 5x. Then we solve it just like we have been. So we would divide by 5. So that's going to get us 336 centimeters. So in 12 years, if that rate stays consistent, Mexico City is going to sink 336 centimeters over the course of 12 years. And that's how we set up and use proportions to solve.